Have you been trying to figure out why it's so difficult to forgive yourself? Well, watch. I got some training here for you that's going to help make a big difference. Hey, it's Kirk Duncan, and we're talking today about why it's so tough to forgive yourself and literally keep moving. Because forgiveness is still a pretty tough topic for people to understand what it is and how it works. And it's because they don't understand the number one step. You know, many times people will think that they've done forgiveness or they think they've walked themselves through forgiveness, but now, days later, weeks later, sometimes even months and years later, they still have not let it go. And you know what that's like. That's why you're watching this, because you know there's something you've missed in the process of really letting go of what happened. And so I want to help you today with some different points here that I've discovered in my own life that's made a difference about how to forgive myself and really move on, but not to dishonor people or to try to make myself not accountable, because people try a lot of different ways to try to move through forgiveness, and they try to not be responsible or accountable for it, and that's the only way they can let go of it. They just don't know the steps. So I want to talk to you first about the number one step, and then I want to show you the rest of the story, that really what it takes to be able to forgive and move on. Because if you don't forgive yourself, when we don't forgive ourselves, it stacks up and literally creates a wall in front of your heart. It's how walls get built. They're stacked up brick by brick, moment by moment, where we don't truly forgive ourselves or forgive other people. Now we got ourselves a wall. Then that wall keeps building up. Then it blocks our voice, vocal cords. Then the wall keeps building up. Now it's blocking our vision. Then it stacks up and it blocks our thoughts. And you literally get shut down. So if you don't learn how to forgive yourself, you are on a path of shutting down. Or maybe you're already in the place of shutting down, and you're trying to figure out how to disassemble this so you can get back to moving again. But it's where heart walls come from: loss of voice, loss of vision, and loss of thinking. But the number one step in forgiveness is literally how you see yourself. This right here is called the screen of the mind. Inside your mind, you have a place, which is, I'm just going to call it the screen of the mind, where you have an image of yourself, how you see yourself. In that same image, you see how other people see you. There's 2 points of view here. And there's a point of view about how you see yourself and how you're perceiving other people are seeing you. Now that image, like just anything, you've heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, this image you have of self and your perceived story that you have of what other people see in you, there's 1,000 words in there. There's a whole bunch of a description here that creates a story. And this image you have of yourself, if that image doesn't change, you won't forgive yourself. You still are seeing yourself as the person who made a mistake. You're still seeing the mistake splattered all over this. And it taints the picture in the screen of your mind. I'm just going to put this splattering here. That's the mistake that you made. And that's just one, right? It's just one mistake. But it puts a splattering on this picture. And most people don't know how to get in there and change that so that you can move forward, because we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. Over here, I got my team. Have you ever made a mistake before? You've made a mistake. What about you? Oh, he's made a ton of mistakes. So they need help. I need help. You need help. So you're not alone. We all make mistakes. But what do we do with that mistake? Well, when we make the mistake, we have this image of ourselves, and that creates a story because something happened. And so let me give you an example of what recent mistake I have made. I'm just a walking mistake sometimes. I'm fleshy, I'm a man, so I make mistakes. The other day, I was under pressure about something at a deadline, and Kim come walking into my office, and she asked a really simple question. And I turned around and I said the answer to the question, but it's really, really intense to her. And I was really short and I was really intense with her. And it wasn't her. I had a deadline. I'm trying to get something done. And she was just happened to be in the wrong place at the right time. And I was really intense with her. And I literally saw on her face, like her natural liveliness just like drain out of her body. And she just turned around and walked out of my office. Oh, man, that's the last thing you want to see as a husband, is to see your wife, just like shrink right in front of you. And I could tell I hurt her with that intensity. And it's like, because it was just a matter of words. I answered her question, but it was really short and blunt right at her. Well, she walked out and I could hear her walk into her office, but then she left her office and went in the bedroom. And I could tell I made a mistake. I've hurt her with that intensity. And so I'm sitting there, and while I'm sitting there, I get this glitch on my screen in my mind of how I see myself. And immediately the story starts to play in my head. And it goes like this. You're a bad husband. I mean, you can't even take care of your wife. That was uncalled for. Who are you? You're just a big meanie. What a big grouch, what a big ogre. And this story starts to populate inside my mind. So when the moment happened, I saw myself as doing something wrong, but then a story starts to pile in on this new image. And it's all these details are just piling in on top of me. And as those details are piling in on top of me, I could feel the heaviness weigh on me. Yeah, because I did something that hurt my wife. And I could just feel the bricks getting stacked. You're an ogre, you're mean, you can't do anything right, boom, boom, boom. And I could feel this heart wall start to build, literally right there in the moment. Like, she deserves somebody's better. I'm a bad person. But I knew what I needed to do. I needed to go in there and I needed to, ask her for forgiveness. But first, I'm going to walk in there and tell her I'm sorry. So there's some steps here. I've got to change this story. And you all know about saying you're sorry and asking for forgiveness. You all know that. But then there's what do you do after? But let me walk you through the story. So I walk in the bedroom and she's crying. And it's like, oh boy. And I put my arm around her, and she's still crying. And I could just feel, it's just stacking up. Like, what a jerk, what a meanie. That was uncalled for. And this is all true, right? It's all true. And as soon as she stops crying, I said, I'm really sorry, sweetie pie. You're my angel. I'm really sorry. And, I was uncalled for. And I'm walking through the I'm sorry part, expressing and telling my side. And then I asked her, I hope you'll forgive me because I really want to do something different. I want to be different. Next time I'm under pressure, I'll calm down before I turn to answer a question, And so I walked through the I'm sorry, will you forgive me part with Kim. She's like, I love you. I know you're under pressure for a deadline. And I know I didn't knock on your door before I came in. I'm sorry. So we cleared that between us. But here's the real big secret. When I was walking out of the bedroom, I may have said I'm sorry and asked for forgiveness. But when I was walking out of the bedroom, I still had inside of me, ogre, mean guy, couldn't manage his voice and his tone, jerk, you hurt your wife. I still had this big stack in front of me. And that I'm sorry and please forgive me didn't remove that. It didn't remove all this information that was blocking me from being really connected to Kim. So I had to literally get involved with what's happened here. I may have said I'm sorry, and I apologized and asked for forgiveness, and she said that she forgave me. But how do I forgive myself? See, that's where you're probably just like me, where we don't finish the process. We don't finish it. We have to change the story that's on the screen of our mind. This is what you do. The first step is I have to get involved with the story. Even after I said I'm sorry, even after I asked for and apologized, I still have to get involved with the story of now how I see myself. How many years have I done that? Oh my goodness, I've gone so many years in my life where I didn't do this part. And I didn't realize it was left unfinished. Those heart walls get between me and other people and me and my dreams and my vision and who I am and my identity. So I've got to change the story. So as I'm walking out of the bedroom and I'm sitting down in my office again, I'm sitting there going, now, hold on a second. I'm not a jerk. I'm not a meanie. But then that evidence all comes back. Yeah, you are. You just said that to your wife and you're mean. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm a good man. I had a deadline. I didn't manage my voice. I can manage my voice. I can do better. There's this automatic story going on inside me, but if I don't get involved after the fact and change that story inside me, that original story of jerk, ogre, meanie, that's all gonna sit there. And if it sits there, it's gonna affect me and how I'm gonna act and behave from that point on. So I gotta get in there and I gotta change that story up. And the story must be changed about two different things. There's two different things. It's about the person, me, and the other person. So the way I see myself and the way Kim sees me. Remember, on this part right here, remember, there's 2 points of view. There's the point of view I have of myself, and then the point of view that somebody else has of me. And so I've got to tell this story now about me, and so I can put a new solid story inside of me after the mistake. Because you don't really forgive until you have a change of mind. Real true forgiveness requires a change of heart and a change of mind. And what that means is the point of view you have of the person and the point you have of yourself. And so I've got to make sure that this story, and I'm telling myself this story, and then I got to check in with myself and go, okay, what can I do to make this better? How can I show Kim and how can I show myself? Because there's two. How she sees me and how I see me. What can I do to show her that I'm really changed? Well, then I now, for the retribution side, is like, I'm gonna do something for her. I'm gonna do an act of service for her. I'm gonna show myself, watch this, watch this, I'm good, I'm different. So over that next day, I did little nice things for her over the next week. And over the next week, she's like, wow, you're like a really good husband. It's like, I know. And she's like, wow, you're really handsome. I know. But I have to do something. So the equation that this comes down to is this. True forgiveness requires a new image of myself, new language of myself, my emotional state about myself, and how I act. So if I can pay attention to this and go, you know what, how do I forgive myself? Well, I've got to be very conscious of the story I tell of myself after the experience, after I said I'm sorry, after I asked for forgiveness from my wife or whoever it is. But this story and the way it's going on inside your head and the way you act afterwards and the things you do afterwards, it really puts you on the path of actual, real, true forgiveness. But remember, it doesn't just evaporate. It doesn't change by itself. You have to get involved inside of who you are and be able to disassemble those blocks, disassemble all that negativity that's inside of you, and you build this story about how you see yourself, the imagery, how you talk about yourself with the language, how you feel about with the emotion side, and then how you act from this point on. That then causes forgiveness to be real, and it causes real change inside of us. You're going to make a mistake. I'm going to make a mistake. But at least now I know that of all these right here, the one I want to remember the most of is what is the story I tell of myself? And that's what you want to get involved with. Because forgiveness doesn't happen until the story changes. Hey, let's keep a good thing going. Subscribe, ring the bell, and I will see you tomorrow. Great videos are coming your way.